And here we are at the dealer's table alongside Nerd Squared. Nerd, 3 decks. Let's shuffle up and deal.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Nerd again. Technical difficulties happened, but we worked it out through a weird MacGyver solution. But don't worry about it. Normally I run a lot of horror stuff. If you've seen my GDQ runs in the past, you probably know. But I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and play Balatro, this little-known poker roguelike you may not have heard of. Joining me on commentary for this is gonna be Cloyce.
Hi, I'm Cloyce, in case you forgot from 20 minutes ago. I am a Balatro speedrunner, and I've commentated quite a few of these at this point. It's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
we're ready to get into it, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and to quickly
Alright.
explain, it's 3 decks. I'll be doing Plasma deck to start off, then Checkered, and then Abandoned. Each deck
Yeah.
has their own different effects we'll go over. It's also Skipless. We'll get into that as well in a second. And it's random seeds, so I won't know what Jokers I'm going to get, and I especially don't know what, like, tarots and things I'm going to get. So it
Yeah.
really keeps you on your toes. And on that note, Cloyce is actually going to be doing a lot of talking at the start of each of these
Yeah.
decks, just because there's a lot of, like, mathing I have to do in my head to get the run going for each of the decks.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're just about ready. Also, one other thing I need to mention, you'll see a timer when I boot into the game. That's this right here. This is Ankh. It's made by one of our community members and tool makers. Math is fun. It's just a built-in time. It's just a timer that's built into the UI of the game through some modding. Through a tool called Lovely. They'll help us keep time for the run, and that's how we usually time runs for the leaderboards. So you'll see that around right here on the screen, so just so you're aware of that. Alright, I think we're just about ready. Like I said, time will start when I click the first blind, so go!
Alright, so we are starting out here, obviously. I'm kind of assuming that most people have seen Balatro before at this point, but just a quick refresher, or if you've not seen it before, basically this game is a poker-based roguelike. So the base idea of the game is that you have poker hands, and they score different numbers of points, and you can add various jokers and consumable cards and modifiers to increase certain specific types of scoring. So for example, there we have the card sharp that gives us a ×3 if we play the same hand twice in the same round. So we are currently playing on the Plasma deck. So the Plasma deck is a little bit special because it basically completely changes the scoring algorithm in the game. So normally you would have that blue number on the left is your chips, and your red number on the right is the multiplier. And basically you multiply those numbers together. Now, Plasma does something a little bit different. It adds the two numbers and then cuts that in half and squares it, which sounds a little bit complicated, but basically it means that if one number is way bigger than the other, then you get a really high score. That's basically the idea. So here we picked up the square joker. So in general, jokers that give you a lot of chips are going to be giving you more chips, about 7 times more chips than jokers that give you multiplier. So if all we care about is the sum of those two numbers, then in general we're looking for jokers that give us chips. So square joker and ice cream are both good examples of jokers that gives us chips. One of them is going up by 4 every time we play a hand, and the other one is going down by 5 every time we play a hand. So astute mathematicians among you might notice that with these two jokers, we're actually getting weaker every time we play. But that's okay. We'll get there eventually. The ice cream is unfortunately melting. We have also come across Mr. Slow Animation Man. Of course, 3,200, no problem for us. I mean, that's a pretty big number, but, you know, pretty easy number to reach in my opinion. Yeah, so the square joker, because 4 is a square number, increases by 4 chips every time we play 4 cards, and that is a permanent increase. So that's what we're looking for, especially in the skipless category, is anything that gets stronger every single time that we play a hand like this. So every single time we play a hand, the hiker is, which was a big point of discussion during the vamping earlier, the hiker, not the camper, that's his name, is the hiker, is going to be adding
Apologies.
to our cards. And then we also have the foil modifier. So basically, we're just kind of stacking up slowly over time more and more capability to score with chips. And by playing the 2-pair, we can score 4 different cards. And that way we can get the maximum amount of value from the hiker. Although we've also been taking some Mercury cards. So the planets, the 8 planets and Pluto correspond to the 8 poker hands and high card. And basically, when you play a planet card, then whenever you play that hand in the future, it's permanently a little bit stronger, and it kind of is incrementally gets stronger and stronger over time. So that's our goal, basically, is you'll see that the scoring requirements, the number in the top left that we have to meet, has been getting higher and higher over time. So our goal is to basically outscale the game. And
Of course.
one Wheel of Fortune, of course, but we got holographic when we were looking for foil, so
Yeah.
you can't have it all.
Yeah, it's allegedly a 1 in 4 chance to give you foil. I forget. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It's-
The foil totally
what?
is 1 in 8.
Yeah.
The total chance of foil,
Ah.
because it's foil half the time, holographic 1/3 of the time, and polychrome 1/6 of the time, assuming that it actually hits. Yeah,
If I can jump in real
2-pair.
quick here. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. For a quick donation, if that's okay, or do you want
Yeah,
to?
sure.
Yeah, sure.
We've got $12.34 from Kiri, who says, putting this donation towards naming the player character Kiri, like me. So thank you
Alright.
for that donation. Keep on
Oh,
dealing.
that's a 2-pair again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I haven't explained is the boss blinds. So basically every 3rd round we have to fight a boss who has some kind of special power. So in this case we're fighting the Eye, so we tried to play 2-pair and then play 2-pair again, but because of the special ability saying no repeat hands, we can't play 2-pair again, so we had to play a pair instead in order to beat the round. It just doesn't allow it to score, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some that are especially difficult. The final bosses can be very, very troublesome in speedruns. 2 of them in particular. The Violet Vessel basically just makes the scoring requirement 3 times higher, which is very, very difficult to deal with when we're just kind of trying to cobble together a build. That ice cream is very close to melting.
Yeah, that's why I got rid of it.
Nice, Black Hole. That's a rare. That's like 1 in 300, I think, to get that card out of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Crimson Heart is the other one. It randomly disables one of the 5 jokers every hand. So for example, if we have that square joker and we've been building it up the whole time and it says like plus 150, and then we go and we fight the Crimson Heart and the Crimson Heart basically disables that joker, then we can be in for a real rough time. So we're basically hoping that we don't get either of those 2 final bosses, which is 2 of the 5 final bosses in the game, so it's about a 40% chance to get a bad final boss. So we're probably going to encounter at least 1 bad final boss over the course of 3 decks. So
Yeah.
in the context of this marathon-safe skipless run, we have to make sure we build up more scoring than we might think we're going to need in order to try to counterplay those more difficult final bosses that we can run into.
Yeah, like, if I suspect that my build is not going where I want it to, I'll, like, tend to front load on planets just so my scoring can catch up.
Yeah. Because that's a big thing when you're dealing with the Crimson Heart in particular. So if the Crimson Heart is reducing the scoring from your jokers, then planets, which just upgrade your base hand level, don't care about that, right? So it's really, really nice. Yeah, picking up another foil joker here. The foil edition, basically, if you have a foil card in the shop, which is like kind of a rare chance, gives you 50 chips, nice 4 of a kind.
That rarely happens.
Chance. Yeah. It's about a 1% chance to just draw a 4 of a kind out of a standard deck randomly. A little bit less than 1%, so. But we do draw a lot of cards, so you're bound to see things like that happen when you play this game a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, opening a lot of these Celestial packs here, picking up the Uranus and Mercury cards to level up the 2-pair and the pair. Just because those hands are lower level, lower ranking hands in poker, they're much, much easier to play. And we can play them while meeting the 4 cards requirement of the Square Joker to continue leveling that up while we're scoring.
Yeah, I think my build is mostly settled now. I'm just hoping for... Oh, there it is.
That's very good, yeah. So that was a voucher that he just picked up, which basically gives a permanent boost to your run. Whenever you pick it up, you get a chance to pick one up right after you beat a boss. every single ante you get to pick one up. And basically what those do is they give you various permanent benefits. In this case, the one that we picked up is the grabber, which adds one additional hand. Normally you get to play 4 hands, so obviously if we can play one more hand, that's basically 25% more points, which is really good. And 25% more chance to scale up using the square joker and the hiker. And also, another very, very powerful voucher is called Director's Cut, and that one allows us to re-roll the boss one time. So if we get one of those bad bosses, we can re-roll, and then just hope we don't get the other bad boss when we re-roll, because that can happen as well.
We just got the mouth, which, as it says right there,
Yeah.
only lets us play one hand type, so I tend to do, like, pairs or high cards.
Yeah, something easy to play, because if you
Yeah.
get stuck, like if I play a 2-pair and then I don't draw another 2-pair, then it can be difficult to make sure that we meet that goal. So probably going to check out the final boss here. It is the Violet Vessel.
Uh-oh.
I think this
Yeah, it
run
was.
is-
Uh-oh.
We are looking for a couple of things now that can save the run. So this is a 1 in 5 chance. I think we would have been completely fine if we got the Crimson Heart here, actually, since we've had the hiker and we have the high level 2 pairs. So we're looking for a couple of very specific things here. The banner is helpful. Take the voucher as well to power that up.
Oh, yeah. True.
So the banner cares about not discarding, and it gives us chips for all of our discards. Which is good because we're playing pairs, and pairs we don't really, and 2-pair we don't really need to discard that much. But I don't think this is going to be enough to beat Violet Vessel. Oh, actually, we're close.
Potentially. I need
It's
more
depend
level
on,
ups though.
It's going to depend a lot on what cards we play based on the hiker. Oh, there's Mr. Bones. We're saved. Okay. That's what I was trying to get to around.
Yeah, well,
that.
there's
So
also
there's 2 jokers that can save us in this situation. One of them is Mr. Bones, and the other one is the Luchador.
Yeah, and we
They're
also
both uncommon, so it was not that likely to find one of them, but we did, so we're saved.
Yeah, and we also had a couple of celestial packs there.
Yeah, we might actually score enough anyway. Let's see, is this 120,000?
Nope.
Not quite. It might have been with the other foil joker, though. So what Mr. Bones does is basically, as long as you get to 25% of the score, which we have just done, then Mr. Bones will, as a one-time use, he will destroy himself and save you from the blind. So basically, it's like a get-out-of-jail-free card, and that is exactly what we needed in this situation. So very, very lucky. Sometimes the cards do smile upon you. You pick up the Mr. Bones here and just barely eke out this win. So there he goes.
There we go.
Working as intended in this particular case. We'll see more of him later, maybe.
Yeah, and one other tidbit, you may have noticed that the face cards specifically look a little different. That was a content update, I think starting summer-ish last year, somewhere around there, where they changed the face cards to... actually, yeah, you can take that.
Yeah, so basically there's this thing called Friends of Jimbo, which is basically a collaboration between Balatro and many other games, mostly indie games, but also some pretty large titles like Cyberpunk 2077. Basically, all the face cards in the game have a lot of different options, so in this case you can see that the hearts are set to Among Us, and there's like maybe 20 or 25 different games that they've collaborated with over time. Yeah, Critical Role is the one that just came out. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of different cool cosmetics that you can have access to here, which is really fun.
Yeah, and it just really it also just really highlights the amount of detail that Local Thunk put into the pixel art of the cards, because Local Thunk is a solo developer of this game.
Yeah, I will note that some of the art for the Friends of Jimbo was done by various community artists as well, though. So it wasn't just Thunk. Yeah, so we've picked up a nice afternoon. Oh, we've eaten the banana. It's gone.
Bye.
So first let me explain the checker deck. So we've just moved on from the plasma deck, so we don't have to deal with that weird, confusing scoring mechanic anymore. Now it's just blue number times red number, so we're looking for a combination of things that both increase our chips and our multiplier. So currently we're increasing our chips once again with the ice cream. We used to have a banana increasing our multiplier, but it went extinct. We get an extra scoop on the ice cream, 2 for 2 on the Wheel of Fortune today.
Which is
very
rare.
unusual. Nice straight flush. So the checker deck only has spades and hearts. It has 26 spades and 26 hearts. Other than that, it's the standard distribution of ranks in the deck. So what that means is if we get something like the Onyx Agate, which cares about clubs, it's not useful to us, but we should have a much, much easier time making a flush, which is a poker hand with 5 of the same suit. And now flushes are pretty good. They're not the best, and oftentimes you do end up not playing flushes long term, but what makes the checker deck so good is that you have access to those flushes early on, which just give you a very strong scoring outlet early on in the game. Just because you know you can make that 5-card hand that starts out already very strong. Ideally, you want to be playing an easier hand like high card or pair that takes less time to score in a speed run, but you take what you can get. A nice royal flush. Straight flushes are also obviously easier to find on the checker deck, but generally they're still not easy enough to be worth going for. Yeah, we're picking up a lot of Jupiter cards, so compared to the lower ranking hands, we saw the Pluto and Mercury, those smaller planets, for high card and pair in the last run. The Jupiter is a little bit better. It's still like maybe the 3rd or 4th weakest planet, just because of how easy it is to play a flush.
Yeah, except we got the eye.
Yeah, so you can't, again, you can't play a flush and another flush.
I'm gonna have to rely on a royal flush or straight flush, I think.
Full house should work if you can get that, but...
yeah.
Yeah, the issue is here, we don't have any multiplier from our jokers, so we're basically Yeah, play the pair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was thinking it was over and I was about to reset, but... Oh, not allowed. There we go.
Yeah.
I played...
The
Yeah, I
pair's
played
not going
two-pair.
to score enough, but now the high card should get you there, right? High card, ace or queen? Oh, not quite. Okay.
29 points short.
That was basically the issue there, is that we didn't have any multiplier from our jokers, and we were entirely relying on the multiplier from the Jupiter leveling up flushes. So when we could only play 1 flush and it wasn't enough, then we get into a pretty bad spot there. So that just highlights we were offered some jokers like Mystic Summit and Mad Joker that could have gotten us out of that situation. But yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a moment to talk about one of our incentives?
Sure.
So I just want to give everybody an updated standing for our player name, which is kind of becoming one of the more popular incentives for the next run, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Kiri, with that last donation I mentioned, is in the lead $62.34 to Pikachu, which is in second at $54.56. That's like $8. All we need is an $8 donation. And also, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we get 33, 33, 33 before the night was over? Putting that out there.
We got Grabber twice in a row.
Paradolia is interesting there. I don't know if it's, like, good. It's probably not, but... It does make all of your cards face cards, which does benefit the scary face on the left there, which gives us 30 chips whenever a face card is scored.
Save that for later. Look at that for now.
Yeah, so one thing we haven't talked about too much, because they're not super important in speedruns, except for certain ones, is the tarot cards. So we have a consumable card in the top right called the Hermit, which when we use it will double our money. So we're waiting until we have a little bit more money before we use that. +1 hand size is especially good on the checker deck. If you have 9 cards in your hand, it's impossible to not have a flush, because if I have 4 of one suit and 5 of the other suit, then I have a flush, right?
Yeah, and whenever
That's very nice.
Yeah, and whenever I play checkered, I hope for this or the...
Hand size voucher, yeah.
Yeah, because depending on the build, I may end up using stuff like the Green Joker, which when you discard it, like, lowers the score that the hand gives you. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play that Hermit now, so we have a lot more money. Ooh, Castle is especially good on the checkered deck.
Yeah.
So Castle in general is pretty mediocre, honestly. However, what Castle does is it picks a random suit, and then if you discard cards of that suit, then it increases permanently. Similar to the Square Joker, it just gives you a permanent boost to your chips. But the way that it works is it only picks from the suits that are in your deck. So if you only have 2 suits in your deck instead of 4, then the Castle is much, much more powerful because you can scale it much more easily.
Yeah, I think I'll... Ooh. Okay. Now we're cooking.
Nice, nice, yeah. So this is one of the jokers, basically just says ×2 if we play a flush, and we are pretty interested in playing flushes. So, no concern here on the needle. The needle can be very scary because it asks you to one-shot the boss, and if you don't one-shot the boss, you just straight up lose. So, yeah. We are going all in on the flushes here. So like I said, you don't always end up on flushes on the checker deck, but in this particular build, we are definitely doing flushes. 3 of our jokers currently care about playing specifically flushes. We have plus chips for a flush, plus multiplier for a flush, and then times multiplier for a flush. Now, those times multiplier jokers are especially powerful. Just because, like, you can only get so much by adding value, then once you multiply all that at the end, basically if I have plus 10 and then I times 3 at the end, then now that's basically like I had a plus 30, and that's how you get the truly high enough scores. Eventually, at the end of this, we're going to need to score 100,000 or 300,000 if we're doing Violet Vessel. So, again, this game is really all about scaling. It's how much value can I extract out of every single round to make sure that I'm constantly getting stronger. And another example of a scaling joker besides Castle here, we have the Supernova. So this says the number of times I've played a hand is added to the multiplier. So in this case, we've already played 14 flushes so far this run. And so if we continue to play flushes for the rest of the run, that number is just going to keep counting upward and upward.
Yeah.
So right now we're scoring about 15,000 per flush, but that's going to keep going up as the Supernova gets stronger and as we find better jokers. Yeah, one of the things that you can do with tarot cards is enhance specific cards in your deck. So in that case, we applied a bonus to the card that essentially adds chips when the card is scored, which is very beneficial.
Yeah, my flush level is a bit low right now, so I want to try to upgrade that soon. Yeah.
And like we said earlier, just getting those planet cards online is very, very good just because... Oh, there's the Bloodstone. The Betrayer. And also, you never know. We've been getting good luck with the wheels today. Maybe the Bloodstone will hit.
Maybe. Also, all my club cards are debuffed. Whatever shall I do?
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, we have so many clubs in our deck. There's another Jupiter, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the planet scaling, planets have slow animations. So, in general, if you're going for a very, very fast speed run, you try not to play that many planet cards, but in the context of this marathon-safe skipless run, they are very, very beneficial just because, like we said, there is that boss that messes with your jokers, and so if you run into that, then having the high-level hand to be able to score without maybe some of your more important jokers is very, very beneficial.
Yeah, it's at 100, so I can stop grinding for Castle now.
Yeah, it looks like we're scoring about 27,000 per flush, so again, if we don't run into one of the bad bosses, we already have enough points to win, but we do need to be careful about those bosses like we saw in that run on the plasma deck. Now the hook is going to do us a favor here, I think. Oh, never mind. I guess we wanted to discard hearts. Hook discards 2 random cards. Let's see. Come on.
Man.
That is surgical precision from the hook to avoid discarding the hearts there and accidentally helping us.
Yeah,
that is how the hook generally goes.
Yeah. The game's been playing...
All those bosses, yeah.
The game's been playing nice so far, but not in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, now about 30,000 per flush we are good against. I would say we're probably good against anything except for Violet Vessel at this point.
Yeah, now that the build is pretty much settled, I'm just like thinking in the back of my head for potential future bad situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the three decks, Flush is probably Flush. Checker is probably the most chill one, at least in a three-deck
Yeah,
run, just because like there's lots more opportunities for builds, whereas with Plasma and even Abandoned after this, you're kind of limited.
yeah. The advantage of the checker deck also, not only is it relatively strong as a result of the capability of playing flushes, it's also just a very easy build to play, to just spam flushes, which makes it a lot more friendly of a deck to play in the context of a multi-deck speedrun.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Abandoned also has a pretty high capability, but the types of things you have to do to make Abandoned effective are a little bit harder to figure out when you're trying to figure out if you want to play like a full house or a straight or a four of a kind, right? Those are the kinds of things you can do on the Abandoned deck. And we'll talk about why that is once we get to the Abandoned deck. But we just saw the final boss, and it's not one of the bad ones, so
Good.
we're in good shape. We can basically just kind of go to the end of the game now, because we know we don't have to deal with one of those bad bosses.
Yeah, we should be able to get right to it. Also, we should probably explain what Skipless is. So you can skip lines to get certain rewards. But this is skipless, so we have to play all the rounds sequentially, which is 24 for 8 antes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with skips, it just introduces a lot more randomness.
Yeah, the skips obviously can be very powerful. Sometimes they'll give you just like $50, or they'll give you a free Joker that turns out to be very good for your run. But in general, skips is a little bit harder, and also it's a lot less marathon safe, because if we were skipping through this whole run and then we ran into the Violet Vessel, because we've been skipping, we've had less time to scale the castle, less time to scale the supernova, we would be scoring a lot less points right now, and if we run into one of the bad bosses, we basically just die.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this is the Abandoned deck. It doesn't have any face cards. That's the only difference. So, interesting thing about that as a concept, right? So face cards are the most powerful cards in Balatro. They have tons and tons of different synergies, and they score the most at the beginning of the game, and there's so many different jokers that say, hey, do this when you have a face card, right? But removing all the face cards, now our deck is only 40 cards, which is a lot less than 52. So for example, the Fibonacci, which I'm very surprised you didn't take, works on all of the Fibonacci numbers. And so if we have all the Fibonacci numbers in a poker deck, in a 52 card deck, which are aces, twos, threes, fives, and eights, then that works on half of the cards in our deck, because we only have the numbered cards. If we had face cards as well, then the Fibonacci Joker is much, much less powerful, and probably why you didn't take it, because, you know, when you see Fibonacci, you're not thinking, oh, that's going to make or break my run. But on the Abandoned deck, it can, because you have so many less cards in the deck. Like, if we add an enhancement to our card with the tarot card, like we were talking about earlier, then that enhanced card is going to show up a lot more often, because we are playing on the Abandoned deck, right? And we only have the 40 cards to start. So it's basically the same concept as you'll see in many other types of deck builders of what's called thin to win, right? You ever played Yu-Gi-Oh? You know the minimum number of cards is 40, and everyone runs a 40-card deck, because the less cards are in your deck, the more consistent your deck is, basically, right? So it becomes very beneficial to play on the Abandoned deck for that reason, depending on what you're trying to do. In this case, we're getting off to a pretty slow start here. We picked up the Swashbuckler, which increases value based on the sell value of all of our other jokers, but we didn't have any other jokers, so he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah. Now we have some, so we're...
Yeah, we're in a little bit of a better spot now. Riffraff's going to help a lot. Riffraff is probably my favorite Joker. Like, gotta be up there for sure. Like, one of my favorites in the game.
Can get you out of a bad build in a pinch for sure.
Just being able to generate two... So basically what Riffraff does is every time you start the round, it generates 2 random common Jokers, right? So not the most powerful Jokers in the game, except for Photo Chat. But you are just going to get 2 random Jokers. There's another Fibonacci. I would pick that up for sure.
Yeah, and it's holographic, so I get a free 10 mil.
Yeah. But it's just such a fun effect, you know? Just, here's 2 random Jokers. And it can even give you, like, random additions on your Jokers as well, like negative Jokers and things like that. Or polychromes and those holographics and all those, like, special types of Jokers we've been seeing. It can give you those. And it's just like it's like the best dopamine in the game when Riffraff spawns a negative Joker. It's so good. I don't know how to explain it.
The ice cream is just very...
Riffraff apparently went to the store and got like a gallon of ice cream, and that's what he wants to show us today.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just such a fun effect, you know? Random Joker every round. Like, it's just such a fun effect.
Yep, we're on the
And
bus.
eventually, obviously, it runs out of usefulness because our Joker slots are now full. You only have 5 Joker slots.
Yeah, but we
So,
just got the
Riffraff did his
best...
job.
Yeah, but we just got the best Joker in this entire deck.
Yeah. All right, there's the throwback. You wanna break the rules?
Not today.
Not today. Yeah, so the throwback basically is a very fast scaling multiplier, but it scales based on how many times you skip, and we're doing a skipless run, so that number is 0. But in the context of a run where you are skipping, it is the single best Joker, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we gotta shout out Ride the Bus. So Ride the Bus says, well, for every consecutive hand that you don't play a face card, it gets more and more powerful. So as long as we can manage to just don't click on the face cards, okay? Just I know it can be difficult sometimes because the face cards are very powerful, but in this particular case, it is a very, very powerful effect if we can avoid picking up those or clicking on those face cards. So I don't know. Do you think you can do that? You think you can avoid the face cards on this run, or is that going to be too hard?
I'll try my best.
All right. We'll see what happens here. So yeah, that number you can see it says +5, and then it's going to say +6. It just gets more powerful every time we play a hand. So again, in the context of the skipless run, being able to just play tons and tons of hands as we go through every single blind, something that scales like Ride the Bus is just incredibly powerful. It's a very similar effect to Supernova, which we saw in the previous run.
Yeah.
I have really bad news. You got a pretty tough boss coming up. It says all your face cards are debuffed. Do you think you can handle that?
I'll be fine.
It'll
be okay.
Every single day on Reddit, I see someone say that boss has killed their entire run, and they think it's totally unfair. Oh, look, a brainstorm.
Yeah, Brainstorm.
Pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, Brainstorm copies the Joker in the ability of the Joker in the leftmost slot, so you can just put the Ride the Bus in there. You got a lot of scoring potential.
Yeah. One thing to note about Brainstorm is because you're copying the Joker on the left, it's not as powerful as you might like it to be in the context of a
I think I'll get rid of that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Standard pack in the shop, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hologram is just a very consistent way to scale up. So forget what we said earlier about that thin deck thing. Throw it all out. We got the hologram. So what the hologram says is every time you add a card to the deck, it increases its value. So it's a scaling times mult Joker, which is the most powerful type of Joker in the game. And what that means is that it multiplies. It's a multiplier on top of your regular scoring. It's not just adding, it's multiplying, which is more powerful. And it's scaling. So every single time we add a card to the deck, it gets more powerful, which is very good because, like I said, we're going to be sticking around through 24 different rounds here. So we're very likely to see those packs in the shop, either standard packs or spectral packs that will allow us to add cards to the deck very easily.
Yeah.
And with the Brainstorm in particular, if we find a DNA or a certificate or a Marble Joker, we can do that twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a very powerful synergy.
Yeah, my money is kind of suffering right now, so I might have to ride this for a little bit.
Ride the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. We are scoring a lot less without the Fibonacci, but we are still fine for now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the give and take where you have to decide a bunch of things on the fly with this.
Very, very difficult. I mean, you only, basically, with very few exceptions, you only ever are going to have the 5 Joker slots. And because of that, you have to be very, very economical with thinking about those very quick snap decisions about, okay, what can I sell? What do I need to keep? What's going to score points? What's going to give me money or some kind of value for later? Things like that. So in this case, we kind of have a pretty standard recipe. We have the banner, which is increasing our blue numbers. We have the bus, which is increasing our red numbers, and also helped by the abstract joker in the middle, the one that looks like a chicken. And then we have the hologram, which acts as a multiplier on top of all that. So we're continuing to add cards to the deck over time to increase the multiplier on the hologram.
Well, it's starting to get there.
Yeah. We're scoring about 20,000 right now.
Yeah, and with the
And
amount
we
of
have...
the amount of max hands we have right now, we want at least 25k. Grabber hasn't shown up yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, no grabber. We could take the discard voucher to power up the banner, although it is a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
So banner is 30 chips for every discard we have left, so it says don't discard, but also if we can get our hands on more discards, such as through that voucher, then it becomes a little bit stronger, which is nice. But yeah, Brainstorm is interesting because it copies the Joker on the left. So ideally, the best effect we can copy is the multiplying effect, but if you remember your order of operations, if we go multiply and then add, that's going to be less points than if we add first and then multiply. So, okay, this is the arm. I would be careful if we can avoid playing our hot leveled up hands, but I don't know if we can.
I'll try playing lower leveled hands to start.
Yeah, full house is a good one to play here, or three of a kind. Yeah, because that'll score a lot because it's scoring more cards, but it's not leveled up. So this is basically undoing the progress of the planet cards. So this is a really, really tough thing to run into, this boss.
Yeah,
especially... So we were able to get through it with only one down level, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, especially when it's that late.
Ooh, Blackboard. Blackboard should be the winner here, right?
Yeah, trying to think.
Abstract? Get rid of abstract, right? It's gotta be the worst Joker here. It's only about 30% of your score.
Yeah.
So the Blackboard is another multiplier effect, and what it does is if all the cards left over in our hand are black, then it's going to multiply our score by 3. And multiplying by 3 is very, very powerful, so you'd basically bend over backwards for a ×3 sometimes, unless it's Flower Pot. All my homies hate Flower Pot.
Nice.
So yeah, ooh, 2 more standard packs there is really nice. So the standard pack is what's letting us add cards to the deck. Adding 2 more red cards to the deck for our Blackboard, of course. Yeah, so the Blackboard is especially synergistic with the lower ranking hands that allow us to play less cards, such as 3 of a kind and 2 pair, because then we can just click on all the red cards in our hand to add them to the 5-card poker hand. In this case, like, we have all the cards black, and now suddenly we're scoring 3 times as many points, which is really, really good.
Yeah, big
so we
money.
should have no problem beating this boss.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit unintuitive. I don't know if you know this, but you don't have to sell a Joker in this particular fight. The debuffed cards don't cause a problem for the Blackboard.
Okay. Just want to round out some of the planets. That should be fine.
Yeah, we're scoring, like, we're way more than enough. Like, just putting all the red cards in your hand. So what the debuff does is it makes it harder to see the cards in the hand. That's all it's really doing for us right now, is making it harder to see. So in this case, we didn't activate the Blackboard, but we should be able to win anyway. Yeah, so if we just get rid of all the red cards... Yeah, now we'll score just way, way more points, so no problem beating the boss.
And time.
And time. Nice. Well done. 36 minutes.
Okay, I'll be fully transparent. I was so worried that this is gonna go way worse than it just did, because, like, you kind of saw it there with, like, the tough situation I was in Plasma. This run can be rough sometimes, but we pulled through.
Yeah, it's a very fickle game. Like, when you run into those difficult bosses at the end and you just, like, you just don't have enough scoring, right? Like,
yeah.
But we got bailed out by the Mr. Bones. I don't know. I think we might have barely won anyway. It would be a very
it would have been very close.
It would depend on, like, the cards you playing having more hiker stacks, right? That would be, like, the kind of margins we'd be dealing with. But yeah, I mean, if you want to sum up what happened there, I mean, I think very solid, right?
Yeah. Alright, so I'll be going to the main menu real quick to do some quick setup, because we did have an incentive for this, because...
That's right.
Yeah, and to give a bit of background behind that, also let me change the log settings, just so it's single run. To give a bit of context what you're about to see, that run we just did was random seed skipless, right? Well, we're going to do the complete opposite side of the spectrum. We're going to showcase 2 decks from the 3 that I just did, set seed and with skips. And you'll see as it turns out, we can beat these pretty fast with skips.
Yeah, and with the set seed giving us exactly what we're looking for every single time.
Yep. Yep.
Before you start,
so-
can I do a quick reset on what we're raising money here for and everything?
Yep, sure.
So, if you're tuning in just now watching this amazing Balatro run that you just saw, hey, hi, we're Speed4 TLC. We're raising money for the Transgender Law Center. The Transgender Law Center changes law, policy, and attitudes so that all people can live safely, authentically, and free from discrimination regardless of their gender identity or expression. And if you want to know more, !TLC in the chat, or you can just press !donate and put some more money towards some great causes, some great incentives. This speedrun marathon is going on until tomorrow night, so keep those donations rolling in. All right.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah.
Seeded run. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everyone. Obviously, this is a very, very important cause, especially with the times that we're currently going through. And I just want to thank the marathon organizers and everyone who has donated so far for really stepping up and trying to be a community that supports those who need it.
Yeah,
in this time.
Yeah, seconded.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to do the plasma deck run first. Is that correct? So.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, if we can get a big blue number and it averages out and multiplies by itself, then the numbers can get out of control very quickly. We didn't see a especially out of control number, and of course, sorry, this is a set seed, so we know what the deck is. We know we can just draw a straight flush because we want to, because we know it's there. So there's your straight flush, and there's the bull. And there's a brainstorm. That's a pretty good joker. I mean, why didn't you pick that one up? Just don't need it, huh?
Yeah.
So what the bull does is it gives us 2 chips for every dollar we have. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, in theory, you could just get this from the skip tag. You can get $40. You can get $60. There's a couple of skip tags that just give you a lot of money. And what if we found a seed where every skip tag gave us a lot of money? As it turns out, if you take a lot of money, cut it in half, and multiply it by itself, you get a lot of points. Oh, look, there's another $40. That's pretty good, right?
Yep, sure is.
All right, looks like we're still winning. We're scoring 75,000 now. Is that more money? Wow. Play only one hand? That might be a problem.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, all right. Looks like we're okay. Yeah, so this game's actually really easy. I don't know why it took us so long earlier. Ooh, double your money. Oh, that's pretty good. $400 now. I mean, $400, that's a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna one-shot the final boss blind.
Yeah, yeah, we just don't need anything else. Just go skip, play that high card, and of course, the Cerulean Bell, so kind, just selects a card for us. We don't even have to play the card. Just, what a nice guy giving us that time save. Very, very, very helpful boss.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Too bad these chips are all virtual. Yeah, that's too bad.
All 267,289. Alright, so the next one to be showing off here, I need to copy the seed real quickly. Okay, so this next one I'll be showing off is the Abandoned deck. And this is going to be, even though this is already pretty crazy, this is going to get even crazier. Because with this seed...
if you thought that was crazy.
Yeah, with this seed, we are literally going to break the game. And I don't mean just like, getting a really good build like we did with the bowl just a second ago. I mean it actually breaks the game through a pretty game-breaking glitch.
Alright, well, let's see what happens here.
Yep. So first, just going to organize it by suits. That just makes it easier to discard these cards.
Yeah, once again, there's a straight flush. We already know. I mean, it's pretty easy to draw straight flushes. I mean, we've done it on twice in a row now. Can't be that bad.
Yeah, so you
just
remember
get
that...
the card you're looking for.
Yeah. So we're going to get that Mr. Bones, just the card that saved us earlier. Then we're going to get the Mary Andy for more discards. And then I have to play and discard these in a certain order just to get faster scoring animations.
Yeah, so Mr. Bones, as we said, it looks like we're not scoring that many points here, so I don't know if we're going to beat the 1600, but thankfully, our good friend, Mr. Sans Undertale, is going to save us. Now, another interesting mechanic in Balatro is you can actually, especially on the abandoned deck, run out of cards. So if we discard these cards here, the game's going to say, hey, you're out of cards, you lose, right?
Right, now we
So
let
we
it
lost,
run.
right? But thankfully, Mr. Bones is here to save us. So 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 Mr. Bones is here to save us. And the goal was 8, right?
Yeah, we kind of skipped past that already. Also, I did not expect you to do that. That took me out.
Okay. We're in ante 15 now, I think. Oh,
yep.
Okay.
And now it's in turbo mode.
Oh. Yeah, so...
It
turns out, we're being saved right now.
Yeah, we are very much being saved right now. So, in case you're wondering what's happening here, no one really knows what's going on under the hood here. Even people who have dug into the game, like Math is Fun that I mentioned earlier, they don't know what's going on here. It's just when you get to 0 cards and you have, like, 2 cards that are supposed to save you, like I think you can do this with the Luchador too, as well as Mr. Bones, it'll just let you skip antes after you've quote-unquote died.
Yeah. Because basically, the ante number that is controlling the scoring, it's just a variable. Like, it's not like we're actually progressing through the game. It just changes the number, and then, okay, apparently we won. All right, awesome. It only took 2 minutes and 25 seconds, which is slower than the other run we just did on Plasma. So, I mean, you know what they say, glitches get stitches. So, a little bit, it's not as fast. I don't know what to tell you. If you want it to be as fast, you have to do some absolute jank with your frame rate and turning on or off VSync or something to make it perfectly sync up in a way that I don't know, don't worry about it. Mr. Bones is here to save us, that's all I know.
Yeah, that's the only... I mentioned earlier about how we don't know how this works under the hood. That's the only thing we know changes it. Other than that, it's just up to the game, basically.
Yeah.
So that's... Also, you can stop time if you started it already for this. So that's about all I had lined up for this. Before we go, I want to give some shout-outs. First of all, huge shout-outs to Sixa. He ran this back at SGDQ last year, and that run was what inspired me to not only pick up this game, but speedrun it. I didn't expect to get a time as good as I have right now, but that just kind of happens. This game sucks you in.
I mean, I think the student became the master. I think this run was faster than Six's GDQ run, so congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I also want to shout out Raffle Lights, who's not a speedrunner, but a high score runner. He does a lot of videos on YouTube with this game going for high ante runs. And if you want to see a new flavor of speedrun for this game, Master June recently put out a pretty interesting task, getting the maximum score in this game, which sounds weird, but it's possible. And the max score is not a number to the power of infinity, which, as ridiculous as it sounds, very interesting task. Highly recommend you watch that. Yeah, do you have anything you want to say, Cloyce?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll also give a shout out to another Balatro content creator, Dr. Spectred, also known as Balatro University, has been making more than daily videos of this game basically since it came out over a year ago, and just very, very instructive, one of the best players in the world, and very good at teaching everyone how to play the game, as given by his username. Actually, has a PhD in math and used to be a collegiate math professor. Very, very smart guy.
Yeah.
I do want to shout. Did we shout out Math is Fun already for all the tool dev stuff?
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean we've said his name a couple times, but just really is like the guy who knows things about the code of this game, and like we said, even he doesn't understand Sans Undertale anti-skip as it's called. But yeah, and also made that Ankh mod that we saw to allow us to have the in-game time, which isn't normally in the base game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I want to do... Shout out to the Balatro events team. So that's me, Sophie, Panella, Math is Fun again, and Gloomy Stew. All have contributed to helping us run community events, which are very fun. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yep. It's not for us.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, nerd. Guys, this is just, I had to, while you're doing your shouts, had to pick up my jaw off the floor and reattach it to my head. Anti-74, dare I say,
Oh, yeah.
what incarnation?
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, we went so far into anti that the scoring just breaks. So if we go out of the results screen here.
It'll just say Nan, right?
Yep.
Or at least Nan. Yep.
Yeah, just not a number. Find it, not a number, and score it. Oh, wait, you can't compare those. Okay.
Yeah. Oops.
But
I
thank you
guess
so
we're
much, nerd.
toast.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And yeah, everybody, that was Balatro.